film.
All right, David Lynch's 3-hour opus, Inland Empire. I guess it's the last feature he's made. I mean, I'm not really counting the new Twin Peaks.
That's not a feature, no, it's a TV
he's
show.
been doing a lot of music videos and these weird art wank short films and stuff like this. Laura Dern is an actress who gets cast in a movie which has an infamous history. It was attempted previously. She has a unsettling encounter with her neighbor. She starts shooting the movie. That's about the first hour 15 minutes of the movie. Then it becomes unstuck in time, sort of Pilgrim style, and we are treated with characters who are inconsistent, moving backwards and forwards in time. Some scenes that actually happened, some scenes that were actually just being shot for the film. The actors and the directors themselves seem to be confused and conflated by it. We cut away to scenes of animated bunnies having talks over a shrill laugh track, and it all ends with the actors dancing and smiling at the camera. If David Lynch isn't just actively fucking with us at this point, like, I'm sorry, I feel like we've had this argument before, but this is garbage. This is garbage. All I can say is that Laura Dern is an incredible emotional powerhouse and that she could sell almost anything to anyone. But she can't sell me this bill of goods. This is everything I hate about Lynch in one movie. This is the least interesting parts of Lost Highway and Mulholland Drive squished into one movie that goes on for 3 fucking hours. I hate it.
First of all, I want to congratulate you on your synopsis, because I was trying to figure out how you're going to be able to...
That's the best I could do.
Well, that's great, because I'm not sure many people could piece that together. We've got into it over Lynch. We've never actually reviewed a Lynch film. It's interesting that it's this film. And this was not to torture you by making you watch this thing again. I was really interested in reviewing Magnolia and Shortcuts, to be honest. That's what was my reason for. And I saw Vanilla Sky in there, and I was like, I can't wait to just rip that thing apart again. get my revenge there and my $7.50 or whatever I paid back in the day.
I wanted to like all of these movies, by the way. I didn't come in saying I want to hate Inland Empire. I knew it was going to be a bit of an uphill battle. I knew I had my problems.
You saw it before, right?
I have. This was my second pass.
This is my second time seeing it too. It was so funny, and I'm just trying to think where I was. I think it was, what year did it come out? Somehow the release of this movie escaped me. I like to think
2007. Sorry,
2007. Okay, so it doesn't make any sense. I was working here in Saskatoon. I don't know how I missed this movie being available, or why I didn't know that it existed until well into its DVD release.
Right.
Or else, because I was such a huge fan of Mulholland Drive, and some of his other films, I would have definitely seen it in the theater, and I couldn't find it. It's a hard movie to find, and this is one where I would definitely say, as much as I was promoting vacuuming completely nude in paradise, and see it if you're a fan of movies, I would say it's an even smaller demographic that would be chasing down Inland Empire. I happen to be in that demographic. I finally found it at the public library, and I watched it, and I did recognize of the 3-hour plus films that we're looking at, that this one felt the most like a 3-hour film, because it kept going on and it kept more and more inexplicable as deeper and deeper. And I know some people with the rabbits business talk about the whole thing being a rabbit hole that we go down.
Very clever.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's all that clever, but that's. And I think to a certain degree, like, Lynch does not particularly care about a traditional narrative. And he himself, he's a visual artist. He also, as you mentioned, dabbles in music. He has some albums out there. with his name, and he collaborates with a lot of musicians. We saw them in the last season of Twin Peaks. At the end of each episode, he would get some amazing people. Eddie Vedder did a song for the show. So he's in the world of music and almost all of the arts. I'm not sure dancing is his forte as much, and we saw some choreography in this. He's always had some movement in there, but it's always been kind of like this really creepy type of movement that his characters have, where like they're all really stoned and they're moving slowly. That wasn't the end of the movie, which has all of these women who have been basically trampled on by society are kind of lifting their spirits by singing this song. And you're right, it is weird. You're off put by the cast in Magnolia singing their song Wise Up, but this one is much worse.
It's less earned than Magnolia's, and I would argue Magnolia's is not earned at all.
And I thought they earned that moment, but I understand a lot of people would not. This was a strange way to end a very, very strange film. I think you can get through possibly the first 45 minutes or the hour and kind of piece together a bit of a story here. But it doesn't open with the Laura Dern character. I mean, it opens with, we see that rabbit family, and we see a bunch of other strange happenings. And I'm trying to remember the name of the actor that he works with a lot. She's part of Twin Peaks.
Justin
Theroux? No, he shows up later. But the one who's the neighbor, and the actor isn't Eastern European herself, but she's playing an Eastern European character, and she's coming over to say hello to Laura Dern's character. And
the neighbor. I can't see it here. The names are all really arty. Visitor number 1, Lost Girl, Phantom.
Yeah. But that's when the story will get started, when this neighbor comes over and she introduces this idea of this time shift that's happening, and that
tomorrow you'd be sitting over there.
Yeah, you'll be sitting over there, and you're going to be killed, and you're taking up, you're going to have this relationship with a man who isn't your husband, and that's going to have consequences and all that. And we watch that happen, and we get the idea of the Justin Theroux character that he screwed over a bunch of women. And so that's where I feel like after she has got into that place, and then there's a real turn in his character after they have sex, then that's when the movie gets really, really strange. And she's in this house, in that pink house, and then there's a bunch of women who some of them are prostitutes, and they've all been treated as objects and kind of used and thrown away by men. So I feel like he's trying to make some sort of a feminist statement in here. Knowing Laura Dern's politics, she really likes working with Lynch. She comes back time and time again. I think there must be something to Lynch that...
Lynch gave her career.
Yeah, she credits him with that.
But Blue Velvet was a huge movie. It was one of her first movies of David Lynch, I'm sure. And Wild at Heart was huge too. Yeah. Why wouldn't you go back?
But she also comes from a Hollywood family. So, I mean, sometimes that can be a double-edged sword, but I think she would have had an in anyway. If she thought that he was a misogynist or that he didn't have anything to say, I don't think she would go back and keep working with him in the way that she has.
I'm sure she doesn't think she's a misogynist or has anything cruel to say, but I wonder if she would be able to answer what this movie was about if I asked her. She stars in the movie, and I bet you she wouldn't be able to give me a clean answer. Mm-hmm. And I find that counterfeit. Mm-hmm. I genuinely do. If you're going to take 3 hours of my time and you're not going to tell a story, can you at least make me feel something? Can you have some kind of a point? It's funny because you've been talking about it for almost 10 minutes and I don't even know if you like the film. You seem to be defending it. But
I'm defending it, but I also recognize I'm not going to be embracing it in the way that I embraced Lost Highway, Blue Velvet, Mulholland Drive. And it was, to me, a strange follow-up to Mulholland Drive. Some people said that there were similarities to Mulholland Drive.
Thematically, there are.
I think there's kind of like, we have this story that's going along that makes sense, but then it turns really, really dark, and we see the other side.
the ugly supernatural Hollywood system.
Yeah.
That's almost like it's the same world that he's borrowing from Mulholland Drive. And the rejigging of time and character, he seems to be, again, stealing from Lost Highway. So he's repeating himself.
But he does it in Twin Peaks. He does that. He has done that forever.
Here's my thing with this, why I think it's terrible. I think that at any point in this movie, you could insert 30 seconds of anything. You could insert a black and white image of a dog shitting on a carpet. You could show the tide coming in with the frame flipped upside down. You could show the moon with an eyeball on it. And everyone would just stroke their fucking goatee and say, "Attaboy, Lynch." There's no through line. There's nothing to hang your hat on. It's dreamlike madness and crazy images can get you so far. And like all David Lynch movies, there are moments that are weirdly profound or powerful by themselves, but don't seem to have any real narrative piece in the movie, or piece at all in the movie. There's a really creepy thing with this chick and a screwdriver in this movie, which by itself seems like a really terrifying short film that just we get flutters of throughout this. But yes, I do believe you could literally cut any piece of footage and put it in any 30 seconds of this movie, and it would, it wouldn't affect the movie. No one would question it or could question it. It means so much, Jason, that it means fucking nothing. And I resent it. I resent that people will sit there, watch this thing that means nothing and goes on forever, and then stand up and clap. It seems false to me.
Yeah, I didn't stand up and clap with this one. This one was not. I might argue and you might disagree with me on this one. Other than his attempt at Dune, I'd say this is his second worst film. And it feels like he's just unleashes.
You say Dune is worse than this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought it was a horrible movie, and it was not. I think Lynch was. He was hired. It wasn't a movie that he necessarily wanted to do, right? Or, I know less about. I know there were lots of people that wanted to.
Yeah, it's been 30 years since I've seen it. Yeah, but right now, sitting here, I would say that this is David Lynch's worst movie. But maybe if I watched Dune again, I would change.
Yeah, this last time I saw it, I was just because I would hear about Dune and what a disaster this thing was, and I thought, well, I've heard that about some films. I watched Heaven's Gate, the 4-hour movie, which apparently bankrupted a studio. Yeah. I will watch these things, and they're not as bad as they're made out to be. Waterworld is not as bad as it's made out to be. Yeah. And it was as bad as it was made out to be. This was consistent David Lynch film. I think he thought after Mulholland Drive he could do whatever he wants. I feel like in many ways he makes films, and he hasn't made a film since. And he's not somebody who's every 2 years producing something.
Thank God.
I think that's where he got known. That's where he gets the money to be able to do other things that he would rather do in other arts and experiment with different things. To me, he's a visual artist. In some ways, you might argue that he's a poet. I don't know if you like abstract art, but I feel like he is putting this stuff together. And then he walks away from it and says, now it's up to, with the poem, it's up to the reader to interpret this. With the audience, it's up to them to interpret what's going on. He has introduced some themes.
But have your own interpretation.
And there's some great
Don't even
scenes.
Tell me what your interpretation is, Lynch. Just have one. This is why I think he's largely counterfeit. Because a lot of the times, I just think he's just, let's do that. That feels weird. And I have to say, especially the second time, that ending where everybody breaks character and starts smiling at the camera and dancing really felt like they were pissing into my face. I was actively aggravated.
So you were mad.
I was just I patiently sat through these 3 hours, desperately trying to find any kind of cohesion, any kind of point, anything to hang my hat on. And all I could do is say, man, I love Laura Dern. Because I do love Laura Dern.
No matter what happens,
and I would not say anything bad about her. And she sells a lot of really tough scenes. They may not make sense, but they wouldn't be easy to play.
There's that interview scene that
Even just the scene with the neighbor, there's something really intense about the confrontation between the two of them, and the acting is good. It's just, it doesn't add up to anything. And to add up to not only not adding up to anything, but them smiling at us and saying, we got you.
I didn't interpret it as that.
Well, that's what it felt like to me.
Yeah, and I respect that, and I think a lot of people could take that that way. I feel like it's all about this idea of the women in danger, right?
That's the subtitle, A Woman in Trouble.
A woman in trouble, but these women have then found each other in this time-traveling world, dream state, whatever, and then through connecting together, then they are more empowered and they can share their stories, and they're feeling like they're not in as much danger now because they have each other, and that's what they're celebrating at the very end of the film, and I took it that way. I just didn't think it was very well done. No. It was like, remember,
no emotional payoff at all.
I'm mentioning something about Mary again. There's a bit of like this blooper stuff with singing this song, that kind of thing. That I felt they did a better job of, and they kind of earned that. And you might be going, oh, okay, well, I hated that as much as I hated the Magnolia.
The few things that, like, I was pleasantly surprised to see Terry Crews in the movie.
Yeah,
I just had no memory
man
of him being in the movie, and he's in the movie, and that for some reason made me smile. But, like, honestly, this sounds like I'm being shitty, but I'm just. Did you enjoy watching it?
I liked it more the second time, and this was your second time. It sounds like you hated it even more than the first time.
It was homework to do this. Like, I watched it in 2 sittings. I'll admit I didn't make it the 3 hours uninterrupted. I had to take a breather, but I found it actively aggravating.
It exhausts you. It's not an easy film to watch. No.
Like I've said in the past when I've talked shit about movies, I'm like, I tried. I earnestly tried. When I reviewed Joel Schumacher's Phantom of the Opera, I plugged that DVD in and I watched it front to back, and I actively tried to like it. I just didn't. Same thing here. But I understand people liking the Phantom of the Opera, and I do not.
You don't understand.
I do not understand people defending.
Okay, did you like up until this business when she has sex with her co-star, and we know that we're going in that direction? Did you like the story, the beginning, involving her and the making of this film, and this Polish film that had this curse on it? And did you like that?
The
that
first
act?
hour and 15 minutes laid some track that would suggest that perhaps there was a story here, but it's completely abandoned.
But then it goes, as he tends to do in the second half of his films, which are shorter typically than this. He goes into a very different direction when you expect it's going to go this way.
And then we get about an hour, maybe a little bit more of dream sequence, and then all of a sudden we get cut, and that last scene we were in was actually just a scene being shot for the movie, or was all of it? Does it matter? There's no answers here, and there's no questions here. It's just, I think, again, like Vanilla Sky, he wants it to wash over you and make you think big thoughts. But for me, personally, I found it aggravating.
But he didn't... Lynch doesn't explain anything here.
No.
And Crow over-explained.
Yeah.
Because I know what happened at the end because of these long... Would you have rather had big, long monologues in the third act explaining what was going on? Or that you have to...
I would find that problematic, Jason, but honestly, right now, sitting with you, I would rather watch Vanilla Sky twice.
Really?
Than watch this movie again right now.
Okay.
It would take more time to watch Vanilla Sky twice, but that's how much this movie pisses me off, and that's the thing about David Lynch. And I'm not dismissive entirely of David Lynch. I'll defend really weird things like Wild at Heart and Eraserhead. I will give thumbs up reviews to, right? The Elephant Man, I think, is a decent adaptation and shows that he can actually have the discipline to tell a story.
The Straight Story, I don't know if you saw that. Straight Story is very...
but again, intensely...
That was a for-hire gig for him, but...
And intensely aggravating to me, because what it shows me is that he does know how to follow the rules and tell a story. He just opts not to.
But were those his screenplays? It wasn't in the Straight Story wasn't his screenplay.
No. But he can tell a story.
I know Eraserhead was his...
Wild at Heart is a story.
I can't completely... Because I'm not sure I can completely get my head around what Eraserhead is about still to this day.
For me, it's...
Yet I appreciate it.
Yeah, parental anxiety is what it's about for me. But, I mean, it's probably something different for most people.
Yeah, and that's what I like about Lynch films, is that you can have that type of thing. But this is a tough one for a lot of people, and I recognize that. And I'm not... It's not going to be showing up on any top 20 whatever shows that we have in the future for me, but I think there's things that are interesting in it. I'm always thinking, and I'm thinking for years after I see a David Lynch film, and that is not the case with most movies I watch, or I don't need to think about it. I just saw Jordan Peele's Us. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about that. You may see it and you'll perhaps get a more coherent story for sure than the Lynch film, but I think a lot of people are going to go to Us and not like it because he does not spell everything out for his audience in the way that Lynch doesn't spell things out.
But it's not that Lynch isn't spelling things out. There's nothing to spell out. That's my frustration. You know, if I thought he was being clever or subversive, I could get behind it. I would be on the Lynch team. But I think after a point, it just becomes Lynchy. Okay,
but what if Laura Dern is all of these women that in a past life or in a different point she is these characters who have been abused,
when you were defending Lost Highway by saying it's about Satan's relationship with their lives, I would say I don't care.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But to me, it's interesting to be able to analyze, and I could be completely wrong, and Lynch has something different in mind, and the actors had something different in mind, but it's something to talk about. It's more interesting.
I keep saying, that's my problem. I don't think Lynch had something different in mind. I think he just wanted everybody to clap at another David Lynch movie. When I review bad movies, and I'm sorry, but I think this is a bad movie. Even like when I did Worst Episode Ever and I reviewed like Battlefield Earth, there's somebody that I could recommend that movie. There's somebody who I would say, this movie is garbage. You will love it, right? Yeah. I cannot think of a single living human being that I know that I would recommend.
You're across from one. So
that I would recommend this movie to. Like, honestly, like I know you're a David Lynch fan, so I don't have to recommend it to you. But like, if I saw this movie and I bumped into you outside the movie theater and you asked me, should I see this movie? I would say no. No. But I wouldn't be able to stop you from seeing it. But I would say no.
Again, with a lot of the movies we're talking about, those who are watching it know what they're getting into.
I hope so.
This is not he's not a brand new filmmaker where we have no idea what this is going to be, you know, and... Magnolia, we had Boogie Nights. We knew this guy was a little bit out there, and it was going to be an in-your-face, profane type of movie with Magnolia. People walked in. If they walked in, they're like, "Oh, I like Tom Cruise movies." Maybe that would be the only group that would be in danger of being disappointed. But
it's not that I don't like art house cinema. I just don't like fake art house cinema. This feels fake to me.
Yeah, I think there's more to it than that, but I can't defend this movie as much as I defend some of the other ones. And
if you like Lynch, go ahead. If you don't like Lynch, I don't know, enter at your own risk.
And there may be some people who like Lynch that did not like this movie. Again, as I said, I think it's his second worst film.
Yeah.
But I have the curse of wanting to figure it out. So I know at some point I'm going to sit for another 3 hours and watch this again.
You have the curse of thinking it's figure-outable, is my opinion.
We'll never figure it out. Yeah, that's true.